There is a topic that comes up again and again and shakes up music makers and fan communities alike: sampling. Should it be allowed? Do all producers sample? And why would anyone do so in the first place? Today we're diving into the various ways producers sample and the reasons why.
So, to start with, what even is sampling? Sampling is the reusing of another portion of another sound recording. It's important to differentiate it from interpolating, which is reusing a melody from another song but replaying it, or in other words, without using the exact sound recording from the original. However, nowadays the two definitions get quite intertwined, and often sampling is the term used colloquially for both.
So how is sampling used in practice? Many people recognize known classical pieces in modern songs, and as of recently more light is shed on using samples from known producers such as Kashmir and Oliver. However, there are many other ways producers incorporate samples all the time. Let's look at some of them.
Drum samples might be the most common way of utilizing samples and has become a standard among producers. While stock DAW sounds are a great way to dabble into production, we usually want our sounds to sound more professional. This is where one-shot drum samples come in handy. Get a good kick, snare, and hi-hat and you have the very base of your drum selection done. Let's listen to some examples.
We have a long and detailed video coming soon on the topic, but it is important to note the importance of genres here. Listen to the drums in these next two songs.
Curious, but your boy wanna keep it cool. But I know every time you move, got me frozen. I get so shy, it's obvious. Real world, here to light it up, set the world on fire. Gonna break rules and hearts in tools, 'cause that's what the baddies do. I'm never going back.
Did you hear the difference? Various genres use genre-specific drum sounds. Samples can be a great way to find the right sounds for the exact genre you are trying to make.
Another type of samples producers often use are drum loops, usually 4 or 8 bars, and as the name suggests, you can loop them infinitely. These could have a simple kick and snare groove, but more often we see what we call percussion or top loops. These are particularly great for adding more groove and making the song progress without being too distracting. Let's listen to some examples and pay particular attention to how the energy picks up once the percussion loops are introduced.
Oftentimes, the difference between an impactful chorus and one that doesn't really hit can simply be an effect or a transition sound. Transition effects can also help us go smoothly from one section of the song into another without it feeling like a radical cutoff point. Making these effects is not always easy, so sampling can be of great help here. You can of course make them yourself and then save them and keep them handy for your future productions. This can not only save time, but also aid creativity, as you won't need to break your focus and make these sounds from scratch while you're in the flow of sketching an idea.
Sometimes the topic of our song can be further enhanced by various sounds. We call this ear candy. We could, of course, record these ourselves, but this may not always be a viable option, so samples are a great alternative.
I don't know.
Yeah.
장을 pump it up. 돌린 듯한 주먹을 꽉 쥐어.
As much as many of us would like to, not all of us can play instruments, and especially not every instrument. There are many VSTs out there which can emulate the sound of various instruments, however this is only part of the process. Knowing how to play these instruments is just as, if not more, important than the sound itself. In case hiring real musicians is not something viable, using samples of said instruments can be a great substitute.
Whether it's a string section sample or a plugged guitar loop, the instrument played by a professional likely will always sound better than trying to emulate it, and sometimes these loops can even be the initial inspiration to build an entire track around, which leads us into...
Yes, this one is controversial among producers, but many K-pop songs use melodic samples and oftentimes even build the whole song around them. There are even cases where the same sample has been used in 2 different songs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Dollar, dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar.
A particularly interesting case is taking the melody from a sample but reproducing it in a different way, such as re-recording it with a different instrument, like this. Or making it part of a top line.
In the party, dale, dale, dale. If you want to, then just dale. But I won't fall in, falling, falling. Falling for you, I won't fall in, yeah. Dale, my darling. 나도 상상해, you're my darling.
You're my darling, my darling. 모두 다 같이 love somebody.
Melodic samples can help massively with creativity and are often the initial spark to an idea that can become a whole song. Though not necessary, we encourage you to get creative with samples and change them up a bit or chop them up. This is a particularly beneficial skill for producers, as it really helps work out your creativity muscle and makes sure the sample actually fits within the context. In fact, we recommend you try building your own song around an initial melody sample without changing it. It's a challenge in its own way, and a great way to learn more about the melody-first production approach.
We can also sample or interpolate whole existing pieces or songs. We have a few videos which look further into the topic, but the gist of it is that our human brains like familiarity, but we also like being intrigued. Hearing a familiar melody in a new context provides exactly this intriguing familiarity and is likely to appeal to many.
You and me, our twist of fantasy. Buckle up and take a seat. Hold on tight.
But what about copyright?
Copyright is a rather long and complicated topic, however, there are a few things to remember.
Pieces and songs generally enter the so-called public domain 70 years after the death of the original creators, which is why a lot of classical pieces have been sampled countless of times.
몰아치는 꿈속으로 와 눈앞이 온통 나로 덮인 채로 헤매게 될 환상 속으로 Everybody's got a secret 아무도 모른 like a dream 검게 가려진
You can also ask the original creators for permission to sample their song if it's not on the public domain.
What's after
And finally, royalty-free samples. We already mentioned this, but what does it mean and where do we find these? The name is rather self-explanatory. As long as you have purchased the pack and the terms of the pack maker allow you to, you can use these in your songs. You can obtain these from various producers' websites, and many would offer a free taster pack so you can be sure what you're about to get appeals to your taste and needs. There are also platforms which give you access to thousands of different packs for a subscription fee. A note of caution from us, always be sure to read the terms and conditions just to avoid trouble and have fun creating.
If you like our content, please like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what other topics you would like us to cover in the future.